Peace and love, first of all, ew. Oh my god, lie. Colleen, you're pissing me off. What do you mean the first man you ever had sex with was homeless? Hey, Amelia. Yes, I will address the elephant in the room. I am wearing glasses today. My eyeballs hurt, and I need them to see. So, you're getting glasses, Ainsley, today. Today, we are talking about It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I don't know if I, literally live under a rock. I didn't know until, 2 weeks ago that there was a movie being made based off of this book. So, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's get rocking and rolling. This book is like eating packing peanuts. I did read it all in one day. I am a person who, when someone recommends me a book, I don't really look into what it's about, which often I think is a good thing because I don't go in with a lot of expectations. But then sometimes it ends up like this, and it's just deeply distressing in a way that I was not prepared for. Nothing about this book makes it seem like it would be about domestic violence. I was taken aback, I cannot lie. It's a big part of the book. It is the reason that the book exists. So if that's not your journey, that's fine. Let's freaking go. We open with our main character, Lily Blossom Bloom. I'm so serious right now. Her name is Lily Blossom Bloom. Even crazier, her big dream is to open a flower shop. So, slay. Lily just came back from her abusive father's funeral. She's sitting on the edge of a rooftop, and she's just sort of reflecting on her life because her dad just died, and she has a lot of complex feelings about her father because he was not a good person. So she's just thinking, she's pondering. And then some random guy storms onto the roof and starts kicking a chair, and he's raging. And then he starts smoking a joint. He notices Lily on the edge of the roof. He's worried about her. What's your name? He asks. I feel his voice in my stomach. That's not good. Voices should stop at the ears, but sometimes, not very often at all actually, a voice will penetrate past my ears and reverberate straight down through my body. He has one of those voices, deep, confident, and a little bit like butter. So he's can you please get down from the edge of the roof? So here's the thing. I, at this point, not knowing what this book was about, I'm trying to give this man the benefit of the doubt. Because if you're feeling a big amount of rage, going somewhere where you're alone and kicking an inanimate object, absolutely, go for it. Love that. I am a little bit suspicious of Lily though, because this is a random man and he's engaging in violent behavior. It's not harmful violent behavior, but it is violent. She is alone and it's nighttime, and instead of being afraid, she's he's got a hot and sexy voice. Oh my god. Girl, get out of there. Leave. I have fear for her. I feel so much concern for Lily as a person. Anyway, she gets off the ledge and she notices that this guy is wearing a Burberry shirt. So she's oh my god, he's rich. And this is a nice apartment building that they're on. So he's wealthy. So they start gabbing, and immediately I hate his vibe. He has just the most abysmal, off-putting vibe of anyone in the whole wide world ever. So she asks him what happened to make him so angry, and she's was it a woman? Did she break your heart? And he goes, if only my issues were as trivial as matters of the heart. I hate him. I just hate that vibe. He's what floor do you live on? And she's actually, I don't live here. So she's just randomly trespassing on this roof. Crazy. Oh, also they're in Boston. I did not mention that. Yes, this book takes place in Boston. She points to where she lives. Girl, you don't know him, so don't point him in the direction of your home. Oh my god, lie. I have so many questions about her lack of self-preservation. It's concerning in a big way. The random guy introduces himself as Ryle Kincaid. Peace and love is a terrible name. It just feels bad coming out of my mouth. Ryle Kincaid. I hate it. And Lily introduces herself and she's I'm Lily Blossom Bloom. I really want to be a florist, but I can't be a florist because what if people judge me? She has this weird reason why she can't be a florist. I love flowers, plants, growing things. It's my passion. It's always been my dream to open a florist shop, but I'm afraid if I did, people wouldn't think my desire was authentic. They would think I was trying to capitalize off my name and that being a florist isn't really my dream job. What are you on about? That is so dumb. Just follow your dreams or whatever. No one's gonna be actually, I think she just is kidding about wanting to be a florist. Colleen, you're pissing me off. Ryle is tell me a naked truth, which is basically just be honest. So they play this game where they're being honest with each other. Lily opens up about the fact that her father was physically abusive towards her mother and how she felt by not doing anything, even though she was a child, but she felt by not doing anything, she was just as bad as her dad. You know what Ryle Kincaid, stupid name. You know what he says to this poor girl who just opened up about her abusive father who just died? He says, there's no such thing as bad people. We're all just people who sometimes do bad things. That was not the right thing to say. I don't know whether or not I agree with that, but that's not what you say to someone who's talking about their abusive father. Lily is well, I was just honest with you. Can you be honest with me? Ryle is today when I was at work, I was operating on a child who died, and this kid had been accidentally shot by his own brother. Everyone around, nurses, other doctors, they all felt so sorry for the family. Those poor parents, they said. But when I had to walk into the waiting room and tell those parents that their child didn't make it, I didn't feel an ounce of sorrow for them. them. I wanted them to suffer. He's got an ominous vibe to him. He's scary. Out of nowhere, randomly, Ryle is like, he pulls his hands up behind his head and looks me straight in the eye. I want to fuck you. What? What a wild thing to say to a random person that you don't know. In response to that, Lily goes, okay, since we're on the subject, the first guy I ever had sex with was homeless. So in the spirit of honesty, I did, after that point, think that this book was probably a joke, like a prank. And I was on board. I was like, Colleen Hoover is an actual genius. She tricked us all into thinking this was some serious book, but it's actually just a prank and a joke. And I was here for it because what do you mean the first man you ever had sex with was homeless? And why is that a thing you're just like randomly sharing? Anyway, they go back to doing their naked truths and Ryle continues to be just like the biggest red flag. Ryle is like, I don't do relationships. And Lily is like, well, you're shit out of luck because I don't do one night stands. And then Ryle is like, okay, so you don't have sex with a person you just met, but like, how far would you go? And then they start making out and he feels her up. And then he gets a very important doctor related phone call. So he like has to leave. Lily goes home and she is on bereavement leave because her dad just died for the rest of the week. So she decides to go through her old journals. But here's the thing is Lily doesn't write normal journals. She wrote letters to Ellen DeGeneres, Portia de Rossi's wife, disgraced talk show host / comedian. This is just another reason I was like, oh, this is a prank. This is not serious. What do you mean she writes letters to Ellen DeGeneres? There's no way this is sincere. Through these letters, we get to know about Lily's teenage relationship with the local homeless boy whose name is Atlas. Okay, this is like a personal pet peeve of mine, and I don't know if it's like a thing that other people feel. I just think that like letters or journal entries in a book is quite lazy. It just feels like a really quick and easy way to give a lot of exposition, and I get bored. I get really, really bored. I was bored reading these letters to Ellen DeGeneres. So basically, there was this homeless boy that was living in like an abandoned house next to Lily's childhood home. They sort of strike up like a friendship, and in this particular letter we learn that she lets him shower at her house. She gives him some of her dad's old clothes because he's a little stinky because he's literally homeless. Time jump, it's 6 months later. You will find that the way that time works in this book is absolutely unhinged. Lily has just bought a storefront to open her flower shop. She's like actually committing to the bit and opening a flower shop. The storefront that she bought is like really nice, but it needs a lot of work, and so she's kind of like standing there sizing it up, and this random lady walks in and is like, I would like to work here. Lily is like, I literally just got the keys to the store, so I'm not really hiring, but sure. This random lady is named Alyssa. She's like, you don't even have to pay me, I'll just work for free. And Lily is like, first of all, I can't not pay you, but like I'll pay you $10 an hour, which is like not a lot of money. Actually, what is the minimum wage in Boston, do we think? U.S. federal minimum wage. $7.25 per hour? Wow, $10 an hour Canadian is what y'all are getting paid. In Canada, the federal minimum wage is $17.30 per hour. In America, it is $7.25 per hour, which in Canadian dollars is $10 per hour. That is crazy. Boston minimum wage. Okay, Boston is $15 per hour. Wait. She's gonna pay you less than minimum wage? That's illegal. Well, anyway, Lily is going to pay her new employee less than minimum wage. Love that. Love that energy. I know that you're a small business owner. I get that. But like, don't hire people if you can't pay them a living wage. Not saying that $17 is like a living wage, because in a lot of places it's not. But like, still. The thing about Alyssa, though, is she's actually like wealthy. She's like really, really rich. So she doesn't need this money. If you're so rich that you don't have to work, why are you working? Oh my God. If I was wealthy enough that I just had like copious amounts of free time and I was bored, you know what I wouldn't do? Get a job. I would like, I don't know, have hobbies. I would have so many hobbies. Lily and Alyssa are brainstorming ideas for this flower shop because they're like, we can't just be a normal flower shop, that's boring. Lily's genius idea is to open an emo flower shop for people who hate flowers. I wish I was kidding, because that idea sounds so stupid that it can't possibly be real, but it's what they decided on. Brave and bold. We put out displays of darker flowers wrapped in things like leather or silver chains. We'll stick them in black onyx or, I don't know, purple velvet vases lined with silver studs. There are floral shops on every corner for people who love flowers, but what floral shop caters to people who hate flowers? So this storefront was like, there was a bunch of boxes left over. Alyssa and Lily are cleaning out some of the boxes. Lily falls and breaks her ankle, So Alyssa calls her brother and her husband, who are just down the street getting drinks at this bar. And guess who the fuck Alyssa's brother is? Ryle goddamn Kincaid. So Alyssa and Marshall, who's Alyssa's husband, leave to, I don't know, like get ice or something. He's like, this is actually so foul. He's like trying to help her because he's a doctor. He's a neurosurgeon. I hate this. He slowly traces his fingers from the tops of my toes down to my heel. I still very much want to fuck you. And Alyssa overhears this and is like, hey, what the fuck? Because as far as Alyssa is concerned, they've never met before. Her brother has just like propositioned her boss, which is fucked up. So Lily has to explain that they've actually like met before, and so they like kind of know each other but not very well. Alyssa still feels a little weird. Lily goes home and reads more of her Ellen letters. In this letter, 15-year-old Lily is striking up like sort of a flirtationship of sorts with Atlas, and they watch the Ellen show together, and she like feeds him and lets him shower at her house, but her parents don't know that he's there. In these letters, we also see that Lily witnesses her father being physically abusive towards her mother like a lot. In the spirit of honesty, I did sort of skim over some of these letters because it was so boring, but that's a me problem. So a few days after Lily breaks her ankle, it's healed. Ryle shows up to her house. She never gave him her address, and he's in his scrubs because he came straight from work. Do you have any idea how many doors I knocked on to find you? I shake my head because I don't. Now that he mentions it, how the hell does he know where I live? 29, he says. You never told me which apartment was yours, he said matter-of-factly. You said you lived in this building, but I couldn't remember if you even said which floor. That's really, really, really scary. But to make things even scarier, he gets down on his hands and knees and begs her to have sex with him. It's sad. It is. It's a little sad. It's like pathetic. Just a little crash course on consent for you. If you have to beg someone to have sex with you, they have not given consent. That's like coercion a little bit. He's like, please have sex with me. I want you so bad. I swear once you have sex with me, you'll never hear from me again. She's like, fine. Just let me like take a shower and then we can have sex. She comes out of the shower. He's asleep. No sex. Thank God. Thank God he fell asleep because that feels icky. Anyway, 53 days later, I'm so serious. The way time functions in this book is crazy. Anyway, 53 days later is the grand opening of her flower store. Ryle comes in, he's there for a sale. He buys a bouquet of flowers and he like sends it to Lily. The letter in the bouquet of flowers is essentially once again asking her to please have sex with him. At what point are you like, this is too embarrassing? Because for me personally, that point would have been a long time ago. The first time I get rejected, I would have been like, alrighty, time to move on. But Ryle is not like you or me. Ryle is fucking crazy. Alyssa has this birthday party. Lily's invited because Lily and Alyssa are friends. She brings her ex-coworker Devin, who's gay. Devin is a boy. She brings gay Devin to Alyssa's birthday party to try to make Ryle jealous, I guess. Lily and Ryle end up together on the roof again, alone. Lily is like, I like you, Ryle, and knowing that you only want me for one night makes me really, really sad. And maybe if this were a few months ago, we could have had sex and it would have been fine. You would have walked away and I could have easily moved on with my life. But it's not a few months ago. You waited too long and too many pieces of me are invested in you. So please stop. Stop flirting with me. Stop hanging pictures of me in your apartment. Yeah, also, he took like a picture of her the first night that they met and then he hung it up in his apartment after having never met before. Fucking weird. So Lily goes to leave. Ryle is like, wait, don't leave. And then they kiss. And when they're kissing, Lily is like, stop. We're not doing this whole one night stand thing. You can't, I'm not okay with that. Ryle is like, I went searching for you because no one in the history of my life has ever crawled under my skin and refused to leave like you did. You're right, I'm hurting you, but I'm hurting too. Until tonight, I didn't know why. Basically, he's like, I really like you too, but like, I don't know how to do relationships. That's just not the kind of person that I am. Ryle is like, how can I prove myself to you that I'm like serious? And Lily is like, let's not have sex. And he's like, all right, bet, let's not have sex. I think Ryle might be living in Alyssa's house. Anyway, Alyssa knows that Ryle and Lily, forgot her name for a second. Oh my God. Alyssa knows that Ryle and Lily are sort of like getting involved. And so she kind of gives Lily a warning. She's like, hey, like I love my brother because he's my brother, but he's not the best in relationships. So just like be careful. Because also Alyssa and Lily are becoming really good friends. So a few days later, we're back to the Ellen letters. In these letters, 15-year-old Lily and Atlas are bonding over Lily's love of gardening. They do some flirtatious gardening. This is, hands down, one of the most diabolical sentences that has ever been put to paper and published to the world. We're both laughing as he reached to the bag next to us and stuck his hand inside, then smeared it down my arms. Of manure. A bag of manure, which, you know, we're all friends here. That's shit. It's poop. When he was wiping that cow shit on me, it was quite possibly the most turned on I have ever been. What the fuck? I love to talk. And there are very few times in my life where I have been genuinely speechless. But like, what? How? I have no words. And the fact that this is in a letter to Ellen DeGeneres, stop it. Be serious right now. This isn't real. That is the craziest shit that has ever been written. Although, this is the tangent. Are y'all familiar with the James Joyce letters? James Joyce, you know James Joyce, famous author. He wrote like Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man and like Ulysses. So he wrote these letters to his wife. They're basically just him being like, I love when you poop. I love your farts. So basically, James Joyce was married to a woman named Nora Barnacle? Stop. These are not real. They are. That's the upsetting thing is they exchanged letters. My sweet little whorish Nora, you had an arse full of farts that night, darling, and I fricked them out of you. Big fat fellows, long windy ones, quick little merry cracks, and a lot of tiny little naughty farties ending in a long gush from your hole. It is wonderful to fuck a farting woman. What? What? This is a famous author. Anyway, there's a lot of them and they're really wild. So you're welcome for introducing you to the James Joyce letters if you were not already familiar. I do suggest if you want a little goofy laugh, have a read of those. So anyway, when he was wiping that cow shit on me, it was quite possibly the most turned on I have ever been. It's probably not the weirdest thing that has ever been written ever, but it's up there. Maybe top 3. I would say maybe the 3rd most diabolical sentence I have ever read because James Joyce existed. Okay, but in the letters, it's starting to get colder. It's becoming winter. Atlas is living in an abandoned house, so he has got no heat, no blankets, no nothing. Lily invites him to like sleep in her room, but he has to like come in at night and then leave early in the morning so her parents don't know that he's there. Atlas and Lily also bond over the fact that they both grew up in abusive households. And then also we learned that Atlas is 18 years old at this point and Lily is 15. Peace and love, first of all, ew, disgusting. Second of all, Colleen, my darling, why? There is no reason. That did not have to exist. He could have just been the good option. But instead, he's 18 and she's a child. When Lily finishes reading this, Ryle shows up to her house. He was like, I know that I said that I don't do relationships. And that's true. But you're different. So I want to try a relationship and I want to do a trial relationship to see if we can do it. And Lily's like, sure. And then they boink. Okay, so Alyssa's super rich, obscenely wealthy. The next day at work, Lily is like, so you're really rich. Why are you working here? So it turns out that Alyssa and her husband Marshall have been trying to have a baby for a long time. They're not having much luck. Alyssa decided she wanted to get a job to keep her busy because she was spiraling. That night, Lily and her mom were going to go out to dinner and Ryle was like, hey, is there room for one more? So Ryle ends up meeting Lily's mom and they go to this restaurant called Bibs. You'll never guess who's there. Literally freaking Atlas, obviously. So Atlas is their waiter and Lily sees him and she's like, fuck, why are you here? So she goes to the bathroom to regroup. And they're having normal old friends that you haven't seen in a long time kind of catch up. They're like, what brings you to Boston? This is a cool restaurant. It's very we're old friends, we're catching up. At the end of the night, Ryle and Lily's mom both leave, and Lily's getting into her car, and Atlas is there at her car. Atlas is like, who is that guy? Lily's like, oh, that's my boyfriend, Ryle. We've known each other for about a year. They have not been dating for a year. This is an important sticking point. They've been dating for far less than a year, but they met each other a year ago. That was the first night. And Atlas is like, oh, sick, me too. I also have a girlfriend. Her name is Cassie. We've been dating for about a year too. Lily's like, missed my chance, but I'm happy because I have a boyfriend now, which is good. So Lily goes home that night and she reads more of the Ellen letters. In these letters, Atlas is talking about how he has to move to Boston because he's got an uncle in Boston who offered to let him live with him. And again, Atlas is homeless. They start talking about how Boston is the best place in the world. Everything's better in Boston. Atlas and Lily start to kiss, which might I remind you, he is 18, graduating high school, and she's 15, which I think makes you grade 9. 15 in grade 9? Grade 9 or 10, which is gross. Atlas really likes to cook. He bakes Lily cookies, and they're really good cookies. After she reads that journal entry, she gets a text from Ryle. He's like, I actually really like to be in a relationship with you. He's like, I didn't think that I would like being in a relationship, but I actually really like it. So they make things official. So they're official dating now, no longer trial dating. Alyssa and Marshall and Ryle and Lily go to the pub to do like free beer onesie day, which is a thing that comes up multiple times in this book, where there's like a local pub where if you wear onesies on a game day, you get free beer. So they all wear onesies and go to the pub for free beer. Alyssa's like, sorry, I can't, because she's pregnant. Why did we have to include her very brief struggles with fertility? It didn't feel like a necessary plot point. Like, the point of the book was not Alyssa's struggles with infertility, so why is it there? Like, it was like one scene too. I'm like, that could have been taken out and it would have been the exact same book. Some time passes. One night, Ryle and Lily decide to have like a chill night in. Lily is gonna cook dinner for Ryle, and so they're drinking some wine and they're making like a casserole or something. You know, they get a little carried away and Lily forgets about her casserole and it starts smoking and like burning. Ryle is like, fuck, it's burning, and in his haste to get the burning casserole out of the oven, he takes it out without an oven mitt and he burns his hand. This is really, really bad because Ryle is a neurosurgeon and he was supposed to have a really, really important surgery on Monday, and obviously he needs his hands to do that. So Lily is wine drunk and she's kind of laughing at the whole thing, which is like, I feel a very common, reasonable reaction. Maybe I'm outing myself as a bad person here, but I am also someone who has like the shock laugh, and so sometimes when people get injured, I'll laugh because I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then like, you know, I'll compose myself and have a more appropriate reaction. But it's a very normal thing. This is gonna be a little heads up for some assault that's gonna happen. Skip over it if you need to. Skip ahead to that time for me to finish talking about it. Lily is kind of laughing and she gets close to him to try to like help him, you know, see if his hand is okay. He pushes her away so hard that she smashes her face into the cabinets. She's like bleeding and she's confused and she's upset because her boyfriend just hurt her. Ryle is like, please, I'm sorry, like it was an accident, I feel really bad. And this really reminds Lily of her parents' relationship. It spooks her, but she kind of convinces herself that it was a crazy situation, like he burned himself, he didn't mean to, it was an accident. He felt really bad, so she's like, it won't happen again. So the next day, or like a few days later, Ryle and Lily take Alyssa and Marshall to Bibbs, the restaurant, and they run into Atlas again, obviously because he works there, but turns out he's not just a waiter, he actually owns the place and is the head chef. Atlas's eyes fall to the cut on my eye, the bandage wrapped around Ryle's hand, back to my eye. His jaw hardens and he says nothing as he walks away. Atlas, knowing Lily's past, sees that she's injured, that Ryle's hand is injured, and he assumes what happened, and Lily runs after him to try to like explain the situation. They end up locking themselves in the women's bathroom, which is just like strange. And Atlas is like, Lily, you have to leave him. He hurt you. Lily is like, respectfully, get the fuck out of my business. Like, you don't know anything about this. Atlas is like, you sound just like your mom. That pisses Lily off really bad. So she opens the door to leave. And as she opens the door, Ryle is there. And he sees them locked in this women's bathroom and his mind jumps to the worst. He's like, she's cheating on me. Ryle is like, Atlas, you're the homeless boy that Lily pity fucked. Atlas is like, get the fuck out of my restaurant. Ryle is livid. He and Lily drove to the restaurant together, so they have to drive back together. So they go to Lily's house and they kind of like talk things through. Lily is like, Atlas was wrong. He jumped to conclusions. I explained to him what was happening. Nothing went on between me and him. Ryle is like, I don't want you to see him. And Lily's like, that's fine. I'm not going to see him anymore. And that's like enough for Ryle to be like, okay, we're good. But on Monday, the day of, remember, Ryle's fancy surgery, which he was somehow miraculously able to do even though he burned his hand, Atlas shows up to the flower shop. He gives Lily his number and is like, this is my cell phone number. Call me if you ever need to get out of the situation that you're in. And Lily's like, respectfully, I don't need that. Atlas is like, oh, also here's a gift that I got for you. And it's a signed picture of Ellen DeGeneres, because one thing about Lily Blossom Bloom is she's Ellen DeGeneres' biggest fucking fan. So that night, Lily goes home and she reads the last Ellen DeGeneres letter. So basically, Atlas had moved to Boston, but he came back to visit Lily for her 16th birthday, which is so gross. He tells Lily that he's enlisting into the Marines. After he's finished, he'll come out and find her. And he also gives her a magnet of the Boston city skyline that says everything's better in Boston. But this was a surprise trip. So Lily didn't lock her door when he came in because she didn't know that he was coming. And Lily's dad hears Lily talking to someone in her room. He comes in and beats Atlas with a baseball bat. It was kind of hard to read and graphic, and I did not like it. Part 2 opens with Lily meeting Ryle's parents, and also Lily and Ryle decide that they want to get married. So they go to Vegas and like elope and get married. Remember how Atlas gave Lily his phone number? Lily put it in her phone case and like kind of forgot that it was there. Pretty soon after they get married, Ryle finds it. He's super, super angry, and heads up for some assault. Ryle pushes Lily down the stairs of their apartment. It's really insidious the way Ryle is, which, to be clear, it's on purpose for the book. You're not supposed to see it coming, and this kind of flip switches. He's like all fine, and then like something will set him off and he'll just like become this monster. And that's scary, but it's not unrealistic. There are people out there who are like that. The way that it's handled later on in the book, I personally have a bit of a problem with. We'll get to that when we get there. After this event happens, she kicks Ryle out of her house and she stops talking to him for a bit. She had told herself the first time that it had happened, she was like, if anything like that ever happens again, I'm done. And she sticks to that. She's like, get out of my house. You're not welcome here. But Alyssa, who's now Lily's best friend, calls her and is like, just hear Ryle out. He has this traumatic backstory. Hello? You're a terrible friend. I know he's your brother and I know you don't know the details. That's fucked up. Alyssa spins. Oh, I guess this isn't a phone call. I guess this is in person. Alyssa spins towards me and puts her hands on my shoulders. Hear him out, she begs. I'm not asking you to forgive him because I have no idea what happened last night, but just please, as my sister-in-law and my best friend, give my brother a chance to talk to you. This is Ryle's traumatic backstory. Basically, he and Alyssa had a third brother. Their brother's name was Emerson. And when Ryle was little, he accidentally shot and killed his brother. Of course, that would really, really impact him. But ever since that happened, Ryle will fly into these like blind rages and he doesn't remember them. He's like, I don't remember hurting you. Basically is his whole thing. Which, first of all, listen, it is my personal belief that like your trauma and your mental health, while it's not necessarily your fault, it's your responsibility to deal with. And it should not be the burden of those in your life to like tiptoe around you and make sure nothing they ever do ever sets you off, because things happen and like life exists. But this especially is the case when like your go-to sort of response to things is rage and violence. Yes, I can see for Ryle that comes from his trauma with his brother, but that's not anyone else's job except for his. Second of all, he's filthy rich. He's super wealthy. He has the resources to get mental health help, and he just doesn't. So this is kind of the issue that I have. I don't think that there's a problem with the way that this book was written in the sense that like you get to like Ryle and you empathize with him and you're kind of rooting for him and Lily to get together, and then he becomes abusive. It blindsides you. I think that that's fine. However, the way that this book was written, I can't tell at certain points. Like now, for instance, we're hearing his tragic backstory. I don't know if we're supposed to empathize with him and if we're supposed to be like, oh, he didn't mean it. Like, he's a good person who just does bad things sometimes. And if Colleen Hoover is actually genuinely trying to make him a sympathetic character, or if we're supposed to be reading this and being like, well, it sucks that he is traumatized, but like he still needs to be better. And I think it's a problem that's unclear. This might sound a little harsh, but the main problem I have with this book is that, in my opinion, it's not like well written enough to justify what it is about. Other than the author's note at the end where Colleen Hoover has talked about her own personal experience being someone who was raised in a household that had domestic violence. Other than that, nothing about this book lets you in on the fact that it is about domestic violence. And that, paired with the almost comical tone of the rest of the writing, it is confusing and jarring in a way that doesn't feel intentional. I think I would be more lenient and I would cut this book more slack if the back cover was actually what the book was about. Ryle is assertive, stubborn, and maybe a little arrogant. He's also sensitive, brilliant, and has a total soft spot for Lily. But Ryle's complete aversion to relationships is disturbing. It Ends With Us is an unforgettable tale of love that comes at the ultimate price. I can understand Colleen Hoover's thought process with, I assume, I'm not in her brain, but she wanted to make it like the experience of domestic violence. It's all good until it's not. And I think maybe she thought that by like putting it on the back cover, it would sort of spoil that. The way that it's written already achieves that. You would not sacrifice anything by talking about the fact that this is what it's about. You know? Does that make sense? I might be crazy. Like, I don't know. I understand both sides, and I don't really know that I have a concrete opinion on it yet. I haven't figured out yet if I think that it does more harm than it does good. Anyway, Ryle buys the apartment beneath Alyssa's penthouse for Lily without telling Lily or consulting her in any way. Low-key, I'd be so angry because what do you mean you purchased a home and we're married and you didn't talk to me about this decision at all? That's like a big life decision and I need to be involved. Also, Alyssa has her baby. A few days later, Lily is visiting Alyssa in the hospital with her baby. When she comes home, Ryle is waiting for her. Lily still has that magnet from Atlas that's like, everything's better in Boston. And she put it up on the fridge in her new house. She had like moved a couple boxes in. Lily had also won like a small business award in the newspaper. Atlas's restaurant had also won an award. The restaurant is called Bibs, which the article on Atlas in the newspaper says is an acronym for Better in Boston. It's no secret what the acronym for his highly successful restaurant Bibs stands for. Better in Boston. It's a long story, Chef Corrigan stated. It was an homage to someone who had a huge impact on my life. Someone who means a lot to me. She still means a lot. Ryle reads this article and he sees the magnet, and he also reads Lily's journals, and he's really angry, like more angry than he's been in the entire book yet. Big ol' heads up for domestic violence and sexual assault. This bit was really hard to read. Protect your peace. Skip forward if you need to. Ryle is so angry, and Ryle is like, I love you. I need to show you how much I love you. And he tries to sexually assault her. Lily is fighting back. To get her to stop, he headbutts her and she passes out. It's quite graphic. It's hard to read. It's deeply, deeply upsetting. Obviously, books sometimes include things that are upsetting, but I think when it's sort of hidden and it's not talked about beforehand, I think that as an author, you have a duty to make sure people aren't going in blind. And like, this book has been out for years. At this point, it's on me that I didn't know about it because like people have talked about this book to death. And so the fact that I personally didn't know that this was coming, that one's on me. And I think that's also what's at the heart of the issue with the movie controversy that I will talk about later. Anyway, after this happens, Lily calls Atlas to pick her up. Of course, he comes and he picks her up and takes her to the hospital. At the hospital, they do a physical exam on Lily, and turns out she's fucking pregnant with Ryle's baby. Lily stays at Atlas's house for a while. Ryle leaves to do like a 3-month like doctor program thing in Cambridge. So he's gone. And while he's gone, Lily doesn't tell anybody except for Atlas that she's pregnant or about what happened between her and Ryle. So nobody knows except for Atlas. Also, turns out Atlas was lying about having a girlfriend. He was just trying to like make it seem like he was not single because Lily had a boyfriend, so he also needed a girlfriend. Weird move, but like whatever. And Atlas tells her, in the future, if by some miracle you ever find yourself in the position to fall in love again, fall in love with me. You're still my favorite person, Lily. Always will be. That's kind of sweet, but also she's in a very vulnerable situation, so maybe like back off for a bit. So a few months later, Alyssa and Lily are both back at work. Like, Alyssa's finished with mat leave. Alyssa's like, what's going on between you and Ryle? Like, you haven't talked to him while he's been in Cambridge. Like, what's going on? Lily tells Alyssa that she's pregnant and also about like what Ryle did. For the next 15 minutes, I tell her everything. I tell her about the fight. I tell her about Atlas picking me up. I tell her about the hospital. I tell her about the pregnancy. To this, Alyssa is like, my brother loves you, Lily. He loves you so much. You've changed his entire life and made him someone I never thought he could be. As his sister, I wish more than anything that you could find a way to forgive him. But as your best friend, I have to tell you that if you take him back, I will never speak to you again. Girl, that is so messy. So Ryle comes back from Cambridge and he sees Lily, and Lily is like pretty pregnant at this point, so he for sure knows. He apologizes to Lily, but like, peace and love are actually so much hate and vitriol. There are some things that you cannot apologize for. You've crossed a line and there's no going back. The things that he has done, I would qualify as some of the things that you can never come back from. Lily does not forgive him. She does not accept his apology. She's like, I wish that this baby was not yours. That really hurts him, but like, fucking good, okay? I have no sympathy for that man. Lily goes over to her mom's house for dinner, and she also hasn't told her mom anything that's been going on up until that point, but she tells her mom everything. Her mom gives her a pep talk. He doesn't love you the way you deserve to be loved. If Ryle truly loves you, he wouldn't allow you to take him back. He would make the decision to leave you himself so that he knows for a fact he can never hurt you again. That's the kind of love a woman deserves, Lily. And that like really hits Lily, and she's like, you're so right. She doesn't take Ryle back, and she again kind of ices him out of her life. A little bit later, they talk again. Lily is like, what kind of a mother would I be if a small part of me doesn't have concern in regard to your temper, the way you lose control? How do I know something won't set you off when you're alone with the baby? And Ryle's like, I would never do that. And Lily's like, yeah, you say that, but like, you don't know. I don't have children, thank God. Oh my God, can you imagine me as a parent? Terrible idea. I'm in early childhood education, so I work with kids. I work with the young kids. I love my students. Working with kids or being around kids takes so much patience. And if you know that someone has like a history of violence, they should not be around children. That's what I believe. Because kids find it. They find it in you. They get on your nerves. They annoy you. It takes so much patience. And if you are known for like flying into these blind rages and doing stuff that you regret and you don't remember, you do not need to be around children. Your time in this book is crazy because now it's like the end of Lily's pregnancy and she's supposed to be on bed rest. So Ryle moves in to her apartment, but he sleeps on the couch. She goes into labor. They have a baby. It's a baby girl. They decide to name her Emerson after Ryle's brother that died. Her middle name is Dory after after Ellen DeGeneres' character in Finding Nemo. So while they're in the hospital with like a fresh newborn baby, Lily is like, I want a divorce. And Ryle is like, hey, let's like not be rash. And Lily is like, okay, but like Ryle, now you're a father. So what if our daughter, our sweet little innocent baby daughter, came home one day and was like, my boyfriend pushed me down the stairs? What would you say? Ryle's like, all right, let's get a divorce. Ryle leaves, and the book kind of ends like this. My mother went through it. I went through it. I'll be damned if I allow my daughter to go through it. I kiss her on the forehead and make a promise. It stops here. With me and you. It ends with us. It's the title of the book. Crazy. So that's how the book ends, but there is an epilogue, and the epilogue is 11 months later, and Lily is dropping Emerson off to hang out with Ryle for the day, because it's like his day. Which, again, not a parent. I understand that Ryle is your child's father, but you know how he is, and you know that he has this temper that can be dangerous. So why are you leaving your children alone with him? That's like, it's frustrating to me that that's like the way that this book has ended. She has had the strength to get a divorce and to leave, and even the strength to continue to co-parent with this person. It's unsafe. It's being done in an unsafe way. Anyway, when she's dropping her daughter off to have the day with Ryle, she runs into Atlas. She kisses him. This is the last line in the book. I close my eyes when I feel his lips meet the spot on my collarbone. He presses a gentle kiss there, and it feels just like the first time he kissed me there all those years ago. And in a whisper, he says, you can stop swimming now, Lily. We finally reached the shore. Atlas's whole mantra to Lily is like, just keep swimming, because that's what Dory says in Finding Nemo. And then at the end he goes, we can stop swimming now, Lily. We found the shore. That is a crazy, crazy way to end the book. Yeah, that's the end. Okay, fine. We can talk about the movie. I think that for real, I live under a rock, because I truly did not know that this movie was being made until maybe 2 weeks ago. Also, apparently there's like a lot of drama around the movie. I don't know much about that, but I've been seeing a lot of interview clips with Blake Lively in promotion for the movie like it's a rom-com, and it's absolutely not a rom-com. So I don't love that. Also, Justin Baldoni directed the film, and he also played Ryle, which in my humble, uneducated opinion is a very interesting choice. Like, I'm not passing judgment on Justin Baldoni as a person. I don't know him, and in fact he's the only one who's like promoting this film in a way that feels appropriate. But with a movie like this, with the subject matter that it talks about, I think that like having the director also be the person who's playing the abuser is an interesting choice. Okay, I'm gonna nerd out about acting for a little bit. Acting is kind of fucked up because like as an actor, your body can have a hard time telling the difference between real experiences and acting experiences, because like emotionally at its core it feels the same. You're putting yourself in the same emotional state. That's how, you know, actors who play like love interests on TV shows or on movies sometimes end up dating. It's because they're putting themselves in emotionally intimate scenarios, and your brain is like, okay, I'm in love with this person. It's also the same way that like actors in horror movies can come out genuinely traumatized, because even though as an actor they know that it's not real, it still feels deeply unsafe. Knowing that, having an actor portray a character who is abusive, these two characters have this entangled, toxic back and forth relationship, and then having that person step out and then also take on a director role is probably really hard. And they did have intimacy coordination, which was done by Lizzie Talbot, and she's like a very famous intimacy coordinator. She did all the intimacy for Bridgerton and a bunch of other stuff. But I just think that like it should have been a different person portraying Ryle. It's a weird choice, and sort of the energy around the movie is strange. So, final thoughts. I'm going to shock and appall you and say that I actually didn't hate this book. Like, I didn't think it was a good book, but I see why people enjoy it. Honestly, I did think that it was a joke for a lot of the time because it was so unserious and so funny. And then it got, like, really serious and dark, and that was a bit jarring. If people read this and see their own relationships in it and find the strength to get out of an abusive relationship, I think that's a net positive. The characters in the book didn't seem to have, like, a lot of emotional depth. They didn't feel like real people, which I think is part of the reason why the book doesn't work for me personally. It's also just not like necessarily a writing style that I personally enjoy. I will say I'm not opposed to reading more Colleen Hoover books, because based on like what I've read and what I've seen, this seems like it's outside of her typical style. It's a bit of a departure from how she usually writes. So I'd be interested to read something that's a little bit more like most of what she does, because like, I don't know, I could see myself enjoying a Colleen Hoover book. Sue me. Freaking sue me. So what if I enjoy a Colleen Hoover book? It's my life. People are allowed to enjoy things, okay? But I did not enjoy this one. Yeah, as always, my Instagram and my Goodreads are linked in the description, along with if you want to recommend a book. Happy Virgo season to all those who celebrate. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Bye.